a diamond in the sky, when the blazing sun is gone, when the nothing shines upon, then you
make us whole, make us whole, make us whole. What? What was I saying? When did you get here? What? A review? Oh yes, of course, of course. We're covering Dead Space 1 today. And before we get started, I want to give a shout out to NannaMelissa for a great art piece. Check her out below. She'll become a grand necromorph. I mean, let's get the show on the roll. Dead Space 1 was announced in 2007. It was originally planned to be System Shock 3, until RE4 inspired Visceral to craft a horror title instead. They set out to make the most terrifying game they could. Glenn Schofield and his team focused heavily on the atmosphere and setting the mood specifically. This game sets out the message, combining traditional gore and violence with psychological horror as well. A blend of, say, Resident Evil and Silent Hill. It's trying to set you on edge and keep you there, with only brief reprieves to catch your breath and steel yourself. Dead Space is a third-person action horror title.
Make us whole again.
You take the role of Isaac Clarke, an engineer, part of a team sent in to investigate and repair the USG Ishimura, and to search for his girlfriend Nicole. Once there, you quickly find the entire place has gone straight to hell, with blood everywhere, power outages, quarantine locking off parts of the ship, and just generally everything's falling apart. It's a hell of a situation to step into, and one you may not survive. Honestly, I enjoy the story. It holds everything together, gives the main character a genuine reason to be there, has plenty of twists and turns, and keeps everything moving along.
This is Benson, Tram Engineering. We think we figured it out. Smith killed one. Listen, forget about shooting him in the body. You gotta cut off the limbs. Grab a cutter, anything like that. Cut them apart.
A third-person shooter with a focus on chopping up your foes to bring them down. Headshots will only stun them, and sometimes not even that. Forget what you've learned. The game plays smoothly, with melee for staggering enemies back to sneak in a shot, or to finish off a crawling foe. Conservation of ammo also plays a part. If you fire blindly, you'll run dry and be forced to throw objects in the room at them, or attempt to melee them. Though the game definitely gives you plenty of options to fight back with. Using kinesis, you can rip parts of dead foes, or debris scattered around to propel it into enemies to damage and stun them. There is also a variety of things to do, such as defending the ship from space assholes, flying through rooms in zero-G, and fighting from the walls and ceiling, and the ever-beloved horror classic of puzzles. Overall, the gameplay is excellent and diverse. The controls are fine and responsive, easy to pick up and play, though the zero-G sections can be disorientating and take a bit of time to acclimate to fighting in them. Overall, not much to say. Oh man, these enemies are fucking nasty. Visceral has gone on record as saying they've studied car crash victims and other corpses to figure out how to do proper decay and gore. And dear God, does it show. Probably some of the most realistic depictions of dead people. People that have just been disemboweled and eviscerated. And then for the unlucky ones brought back, further twisting these forms into one of the many, many necromorphs. You've got your basic slasher who either has their arms twisted or folded into blades, or have some of their bones and muscle tissue forced out of their back above their shoulders, swinging at you. You've got your leapers, half a man, but only because the lower half is turned into a massive pile of muscle, which it uses to propel itself clear across the environment. Pregnant, which if their stomach is ruptured, explodes into a swarm of scavenger-like swarmers, who will cling to you and tear your flesh. There is well over a dozen enemies in this game, and many of them also have an enhanced variant, who has a darker color with brighter glowing eyes, can move faster, hit harder, and take more damage than the earlier forms. The enemies are the highlight of this show and really make the atmosphere work well. Oh boy, eerie and unnerving. One of the few games that even after many repeat playthroughs can still keep me on edge. With a wonderful soundtrack, coupled with a terrifying assortment of enemies who can strike from almost anywhere to reach you when you least expect it, and excellent ambient noises, such as crying and moaning, howls and growls, all comes together to form one of the best horror packages I've played. Not to mention the constant psychological manipulation and horror the game loves to play on you, which I won't spoil, but once you figure it out, you'll feel like
They played us like a damn fiddle! Make us whole again.
eerie, ominous, and unnerving, then suddenly shifting to blaring and banging, like an alarm sending you into a panic. It's meant to complement the rest of the package, with the ambient creepy noises, the growls, screams, moans, and howls of enemies, and the visual terror. The soundtrack is like a nice bow on top of a present. It tops it off and completes the experience. Visually dark, oftentimes your gun-mounted flashlight is the primary source of light to spot the hordes coming to slice off your limbs. The graphics look excellent, and the blood, gore, and violence just looks nice. Especially with how you can slice and dice enemies into many pieces. And everything that isn't nailed down has ragdoll and physics, which is always fun. The game runs solidly, and I have no performance issues from any of the times I've played through this game. Well, first up, it's a horror game. If you don't like horror, then this is probably not your cup of tea, my friend. Also, at some points, there is intense series of flashing lights, which can be disorientating, and if you have epilepsy, could probably even trigger seizures if you're not careful. There's also some moments where the game wants to show off the engineering deck with very loud machinery, which while it does its job for what they intend, I could definitely see people not liking that. Though luckily it's always very short, like 10-20 seconds depending on how long you take the walk through. Immediate buy. Slam that buy button, boot up your PC, slap Dead Space into your keyboard as quick as you can, and buy this game on the platform of your choice. Preferably used so EA gets nothing from it, because fuck EA. Honestly, I love this game a hell of a lot, and it's probably one of the best horror games I've ever played. And even though it's inspired by RE4, I'd say it surpasses it in every regard. And now with that wrapped up, I'd like to say check out Nana's work down below. She's got a lot of great artwork and is open for commissions. Before I leave, I'd like to ask you to please check out the links down below and subscribe to the channel. It's much appreciated. This has been Core, and I'm signing off.